Horatius, a lay made about the year of the city 360. Lars Persona of Clusium and the 9 gods he swore that the great house of Tarquin should suffer wrong no more. For the 9 gods he swore it and named the trysting day, and made his messengers ride forth east and west and south and north to summon his array. East and west and south and north the messengers ride fast, and tower and town and cottage have heard the trumpets blast. Shame the false Etruscan that lingers in his home when Persona of Clusium is on the march for Rome. The horsemen and the footmen are pouring in amain from many a stately marketplace, from many a fruitful plain, from many a lonely hamlet which hid by beech and pine, like an eagle's nest hangs in a crest of purple Apennine. From lordly Volatori, where scours the far-famed horde, piled with the hands of giants, for God their kings ruled. For secret Populona, whose sentinels descry Sardinia's snowy mountain tops fringing the southern skies. On the proud mud of Pisa, queen of the western waves, will ride Massilia's triremes, heavy of fared slaves, from where Sweetcleanus wanders, the corn and vines and flowers, from where Cortana lives to heaven of diadema towers. Tall the oaks as acorns drop in dark Oz's fatter the stacks that champ the boughs of the Ciminian hill. Beyond the stream's Catumnus is to the herdsman dear, best of all the poors, the fowler loves, the great Volsinian mere. But now no shrill woodsman is heard in Oz's no hunter tracks the stag's green path up the Ciminian hill. On watch along Catumnus grazes the market steer, on hounds the water from a dip in the Volsinian mere. The harvest of Oratium the sea-old men shall reap, the sea young boys in Umbro shall plunge the struggling sheep, and in the vats of Luna you see the mushroom foam, round the white fiefs of laughing girls whose sires have much to roam. There be 30 prophets, the wisest of the land, who always by Lord's Persona both morn and evening stand. Evening and morn the 30 have turned the verses o'er, traced from the right on linen white by mighty seers of yore, and with one voice the 30 have the glad answer given, Go forth, Lord's Persona, go forth, beloved of heaven, go in turning glory to Clusium's royal domes, and hang on Nicia's altars the golden shields of Rome. And now hath every city sent up a tale of men, the foot before 1,000, the horses thousands 10. Before the gates of Sutrum has met the good array, a proud man was Lars Persona upon the trysting day. For all Etruscan armies were ranged beneath his eye, and many a banished Roman, and many a stout lie, and with a mighty following to join the muster came the Tusculan Mamilius, prince of the Latian name. But by the yellow Tiber was tumult and affright, from all the spacious champaign, till Roman took their flight. A mile round the city, the throng stopped up the ways. A fearful sight it was to see through 2 long nights and days. For aged folks on crutches, and women great of child, and mothers sobbing over babes, clung to them and smiled, and sick men born in litters, high in the necks of slaves, and troops of sworn husbandsmen were reaping hooks and staves. And droves of mule and asses, laden with skins of wine, and endless flocks of goats and sheep, and endless herds of kine, and endless trains of wagons that creaked beneath the weight of corn sacks and house of goods choked every roaring gate. Now from the Rockatopian could the wan burghers spy the lyre blazing villages, the red in the midnight sky. The fathers of the city, they sat up all day and night, for every hour some horseman came with tidings of dismay. To eastward and to westward have spread the Tuscan bands, no house, no fence, no dovecot, in Castellum stands. For Ben and down to Ostia, hast wasted all the plains, Asta and stone Janiculum, when the star guards are slain. A whist all the senate, there was no hearts of board, but sore ached and fast to beat when the ill news was told. For with it rose the fathers, arose the fathers all, and in haste they girded up the gods and hied them to the wall. They held a council standing before the river gate. Should time as there you may well guess from musing or debates. Outspoke the council roundly, the bridge must straight go down, for since Janiculum is lost, naught else can save the town. Just then a scout came flying, oh wild haste and fear! To arms, the council! Lars Persona is here! And on the low hills to westward the council fixed his eye, and saw the swarthy snow dust ride fast along the sky. And nearer, fast and nearer, doth the red whirlwind come, and louder still and still more loud from underneath that rolling cloud is heard the trumpet's worn up pride, the trampling and the hum. And plainly and more plainly, new through the gloom appears, far to the left and far to the right, through broken gleams of dark blue light, the long array of helmets by the long array of spears. And plainly, oh plainly, above that glimmering line, might you see the banners of 12 cities shine, but the banner of proud Clusium was the highest of them all, the terror of Umbria, the terror of Gaul. And plainly or more plainly, no might the burghers know, by port and vest and horse and crest each will look of mow. Though soon a civilization, honest fleet moan is seen, and Astor the forward showed, good with the boy on outsman wheeled, and Tominius with the boat of gold and dug for banner from the hold by reedy Trasimene. Fast for the royal standard, o'erlooking all the war, Lo's poor son of Clusium, sat in his ivory car, and by the right wheel rode Mamilius, prince the Latian name, and by the left falls Sextus, the rock, the deed of shame. But when the face of Sextus was seen among the foes, a yell that rent the firmament, from all the town arose. On the housetops was no woman, but spat toward him and hissed, and the child would scream their curses, and shook its little fist. But the council's bow was sad, and the council's speech was low, and darkly looked to the wall, and darkly at the foe. Though vain would be upon us, before the bridge goes down, and if they once may win the bridge, will hope to save the town. But out spake bold Horatius, the captain of the gate, to every man upon his earth death cometh soon or late, and how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? And for the tender mother who dead on him to rest, and for the wife who nurses his baby at her breast, and for the holy maidens who feed the eternal flame, to save them from false Sextus, the rot, the deed of shame. Hew down the bridge to consul with all the speed you may. I with two more to help me will hold the foe in play, and yon sick path 1,000 may well be stopped by 3, and who will stand on either side and keep the bridge with thee. Then out spake Spurius Lodius, O reigning proud as he, lo, I will stand at the right hand and keep the bridge with thee. Then out spake strong Cominius, of Titian blood as he, I will abide on the left side and keep the bridge with thee. Horatius caught the council as thou sayest let it be, and straight against the great array forth went the dauntless 3. For Romans and Romans quarrel, speed neither land nor gold, no limb nor wife, no son nor life in the brave days of old. Now Romans, none were for a party, that all were for the state, and the great man helps the poor, and the poor man love the great. The lands were fairly portioned, the spoils were fairly sold, the Romans were like brothers in the brave days of old. Now Roman is too Roman, more hateful than the foe, and the Tribunes grind the low, and the fathers wax. The Tribunes and the fathers grind the low. As we wax hot in faction, in battle we wax cold, wherefore men not fought as they fought in the brave days of old. Now all the 3 were tightening, their harness on the back. The consul was the foremost man to take hand at axe, and fathers mixed his commons, seized hatchet, bow, and crow, and smote upon the planks above, and loosened the pots below. Meanwhile the Tuscan army, like glorious to behold, came flashing back like noonday light, rank behind ranks like surges by a broad sea of gold. 400 trumpets sounded, a peal of warlike lee, and that great host measured tread, and spears advanced, and ensigns sped slowly to the bridge, toward the bridge's head where stood the dauntless 3. The 3 stood calm and silent, and looked upon the foe, and a great shout of laughter from all the men good wars. For 3 chiefs came sprang, before that deep array. To earth they sprang, their swords they drew, and lifted high their shields, and flew to win the near way. Honest from Green Hill Typhon, lord of the hill of vines, and Seus with 800 slaves, sickened in Eva's minds, and Pisces long its Clusium, vast and Persian war, who led to fight his Umbrian powers from that grey crag girt with towers, the fortress of Noqueum lowers over the pale waves of Nut. Stout Lucius hood on honest, into the stream beneath. Herminius struck at Seus, and clove him to the teeth. At Pisces brave Horatius darted one fiery thrust, and the proud Umbrians' gilded arms clashed in the bloody dust. Then Ocnus of Philoi rushed in the moment 3, and Lostnus of Urgo, the rover of the sea, and Ons of Osinium, who slew the great boar that had his dead amidst the reeds of Caucasus fed, who wasted fields and slaughtered men along a bight of shore. But now the sound of Herminius stormed at Ons, Lucius laid Ocnus low, right to the heart of Lostnus. Horatius sent a blow. Lie there, he cried, for pirate, no more in gas and pale. From Oslia's wall the crowd shall mark thy track of thy restoring bulk. No more companies hinged to fly to woods and cowards when they spied thy thrice accursed sail. But now the sound of laughter was heard among the foes, and a wild and wrathful clamor from all the vanguard rose. For 6 spears length from the entrance halted the deep array, and for a space no man came forth to win the narrow way. But hark the cries Astor, and lo the ranks divide, and the great lord of Luna comes with stately stride. Upon his ample shoulders clinks loud the fourfold shield, and in his hand he shakes the brand which none but he can wield. He smiled on those bold Romans, a smile serene and high. he eyed the flinching Tuscans, and scorn is in his eye. Quoth he, the shriel's litter, send savagely at bay, but will you dare to follow, if Astur clears the way? And then whirling up his broadsword with both hands to height, he rushed against Horatius, and smote with all his might. With shield and blade Horatius, like deftly turned the blow that turned him yet tonight, missed the helm and gashed his thigh. The Tuscans raised a joyful cry to see the red blood flow. He reeled in on Herminius with one leading space, and like a wild cat magic through and spring right at Astur's face. The teeth and skull and helmet so fiercely thrust he spread, that the good sword stood out a hand's breadth behind the Tuscan's head. And the great lord of Luna fell at that deadly stroke, as falls the Mount Avernus, a thunder-smitten oak. For over the crashing forest the giant arms were spread, and the pale augurs, muttering low, gazed at the blasted head. On Astur's throat Horatius firmly pressed his heel, and thrice and 4 times tugged in manner wrenching out the steel. And see, he cried the welcome, for guests the wait to hear, when noble Lucamo comes next to taste a Roman cheer. But at his hearty challenge, a sullen murmur ran, mingled of wrath and shame and dread along the glittering van. There lacks not men of prowess, no men of lordly race, for all of Judea's noblest were round that fatal place. But all of Judea's noblest fell at their huts to see, unearthed the bloody corpses, and passed the dauntless three. For over the crashing path the dauntless three, and from the ghastly entrance where those bold Romans stood, all shrank like boys who unaware came raging the woods to start a hare, came from off a dark lair, where growling low a fierce bear lies amidst bones and blood. Was none who would be foremost to lead such dire attack, but those behind cried forward, and those before cried back. Backward now and forward, wave was the deep array, and on a tossing sea of steel to and fro the standards reel, and the victorious trumpets peal dies fitfully away. Yet one man for a moment came out before the crowd, one known was he to the three in the game of a greeting loud. No welcome, welcome sexes, no welcome to their home. Why does they stay and turn away, who lies the path to Rome? Thrice he looked at the city, and thrice he looked at the dead, and thrice he came on fury, and thrice he turned back in dread, and white with fear and hatred scoured the narrow way, where wallowing in a pool of blood the bravest Tuscans lay. Meanwhile axe and lever had manfully been piled, and now the bridge begins tottering above that boiling tide. Come back, Horatius, like cried the fathers all. Back, Lucius, back, Herminius, back ere the ruin fall. Back doubted Spurius Lodius, Herminius doubted back, and when they passed beneath their feet, they felt the timbers crack. But when they turned their faces, and on the farther shore saw brave Horatius stand alone, they would have crossed once more. But with a crash like thunder fell every loosened beam, and like a din the mighty wreck lay athwart across the stream, and a long shout of triumph rose from the walls of Rome, as to the highest turret tops splashed the yellow foam. And like a horse unbroken, when first he feels the reins, the furious river struggled hard and tossed his tawny mane, and burst the curve and bounded, rejoicing to be free, and whirling up in fierce clear battlement plank and pier left hurtling to the sea. Alone stood brave Horatius, but constant stern mind, thrice 30,000 foes before and a broad flood behind. Down with him cried false Sextus with a smile on his pale face. Now yield thee, cried Lars Porsena, now yield thee to their grace. But turning is not deigning, this craven ranks to see, not spake thee to Lars Porsena, this Sextus not spake thee, but he saw in Peltonius, the white port's home, and spoke to the noble river that roars by the towers of Rome. O Tiber, father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, O Roman's life, O Roman's arms take thou in charge to stay. So he spake and speaking, sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back plunged headlong to the tide. No sound of joy or sorrow was heard from either banks, when friends and foes in dumb surprise with parting lips and straining eyes and gazing where he sank. And when above the surges they saw his crest appear, all Rome forth sent a rapturous cry, and even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbear to cheer. His blood was flowing, and sore as when he was in pain, and heavy with his armor, and spake with changing blows, and oft they thought him sinking, but still again he rose. Neither I weened swimmer, in such an evil case, struggle hard through a raging flood, safe to the landing place. But his limbs were borne up bravely by the brave part within, and a good father Tiber bore bravely up his chin. Curse on him, quoth false Sextus, would not the village drown? For this day at your break of day we should have sacked the town. Heaven help him, cried Lars Porsena, and bring him safe to shore, for such a gallant feat of arms was never seen before. And now he feels the bottom, and now in dry earth he stands, and now round him throng the fathers, to press his gory hands, and now with shouts and clapping, and noise of weeping loud, he enters through the river gate, borne by the joyous crowd. The game of the cornland that was of the public light, as much as teacher and oxen could plough morn till morn and night, and made a molten image, and set it up high, and there it stands to this day a witness of a lie, and stands at Comitium, plain full of oaks to see Horatius in his harness, halting upon one knee, and underneath is written in letters of all of gold, how valiantly he kept the bridge in the brave days of old. And still stands stirring unto the men of Rome, the trumpet blasts the cries to them to charge the Volscian home, and wives still pray to Juno for boys with hearts of gold, as he who kept the bridge so in the brave days of old. And in the night's winter, when the cold north wind blows, and the long howling of wolves is heard amidst the snow, and when round the lonely cottage is heard the tempest din, and the good logs of Algiers rose louder yet within. And the oldest casket's open, the largest lamp is lit, and the chestnut goes in ember, and the kid turns on the spit, when young and old encircle around the fire burns close, and the girls are weaving baskets, and the lads are shaping bows. When the good man mends his armor, and trims his helmet's plume, when the good wife shadow merrily goes flashing through the loom, and with weeping and with laughter, still is the story told, how well Horatius kept the bridge in the brave days of old.